Morning.
I'm Idayat GBADAMOSI. I'm a lecturer with the University of Ibadan, the Department of Botany. The topic I'm going to present to you is on a survey conducted on the therapeutic value of medicinal plants in the management of the sickle cell disease in Oyo State, Nigeria. Oyo State is in the southwestern part of Nigeria and is an equatorial climate. There are 5 months of dry season and 7 months, 5 months of dry season and 7 months of wet season. The climate supports agriculture and we are able to grow tubers, cereals, woods, horticultural and medicinal plants. The use of traditional medicine is part and parcel of our culture and tradition, and the knowledge of indigenous management of diseases is either acquired as a herbalist or a herb seller. You can even inherit the knowledge within the family. Now, what is sickle cell disease? Sickle cell disease is a genetic disease that has to do with mutation of hemoglobin genes being inherited from both parents. The fact that it is a genetic disease makes it difficult to treat, so it could only be managed. More so, the orthodox method of management presents side effects such as hepatic toxicity, stroke. At times you experience hyperbilirubinemia. Then there's the issue of transplantation of bone marrow that could result in graft versus host disease. Now, there are a lot of secrecy attached to the management of sickle cell disease in Nigeria by the traditionalists. Then, on the side of other people, there is no interest in traditional medicine. There is negligence, and due to civilization, people are not interested in use of drugs. But this particular disease is peculiar to us because Nigeria is a country of high transmission of malaria. And sickle cell disease confer a resistance to malaria. So instead of folding our arms and relying on orthodox drugs, what can we find around ourselves that will be of benefit to everybody? Because this is beyond us. We can only manage it. Though the issue of awareness will not clear the sickle cell disease immediately. So how do we help the sicklers? Previous researchers have reported the efficacy of some Nigerian medicinal plants as anti-sickling agents, such as Cadanus cadam, Carica papaya. I reported the therapeutic value of Phyllathus amarus in management of sickle cell disease. Traditionally, balls are prepared from paste of leaves of Phyllathus and used as anti-sickling agents. When screened in the laboratory, it was found to be highly effective in management of sickle cell disease. This is Oyo State, located at the southwestern part of Nigeria, bounded by Kwara, Ogun, Osun, and the Republic of Benin. Now, the ethnobotanical survey was conducted with 20 traditional medicine practitioners and their consent was acquired, and I told them it will be used mainly for research purpose. And further, we should all put our hands on this to ensure that we do not lose the indigenous knowledge of management of diseases. The documented plants were identified in the University of Ibadan, and data analysis were expressed in percentages, the demographical information of respondents, the frequency of plants in prescriptions, the frequency of plant families, as well as the use value of plant parts and plant forms are expressed in percentages. Results. 75% of the respondents were male, 25% of them were female. 25% of them were below the age of 50, 75 above 50. They were all married, they were all Yoruba people, and the level of literacy is no hindrance to the traditional practices. Here we have some traditional recipes. The mode of preparation of recipes are infusion, decoction, tincture, pills, soap, compresses, baths prepared from medicinal plant parts. I'll give an example of potatoria leaf. A decoction of it is prepared, and the glass top of it is taken daily as anti-sickling and anti-anemic. Then the issue of the use of a Bryophyllum pinatum leaf, the paste is used to prepare soap and is administered topically on the sickler. The Phyllathus amarus, the leaf is prepared into pills, not actually pills, but balls. Get the leaves, get it washed thoroughly, grind into paste and roll into balls, and administer it twice daily after food. So the result of the survey, I got 38 traditional recipes. From the 38 traditional recipes, I had 60 medicinal plants that are valuable in management of sickle cell disease. These 60 plants are from 33 plant families. So the plants were allium species. I documented allium stepa, allium sativum, allium astronicum as tonics for management of sickle cell disease. They also have strong antifungal properties. And the citrus species, Citrus sinensis, Citrus latifolia, Citrus medica fari acida. Also vegetables, Pannonia amygdalina as antifungal and as tonic, Coccorius solitorius as tonic in management of sickle cell anemia, and the use of Telfaria occidentalis. We call that plant ugu, a strong anti-anemic plant in management of sickle cell disease. Of interest is the number of species recorded in this survey. Of the 60 plants I documented, 11 of them were species. And they were Aframomum mellibretta, Allium astronicum, Allium cepa, Allium sativum, Capsicum fruticens, Curcuma longa, Piper guinnensis, Tetracera, Xylopia ethiopica, Xanthocylus xanthosclodis, and Syngiva officinalis. These are some of the plants that are used in management of sickle cell anemia. And the important families were 8 families. Important families were regarded as families with more than 2 plants in prescription. The Fabaceae family recorded the highest number of plants in prescriptions with 8 plants representatives. The chemical constituents of priority species The priority species are as shown in table 6. 5 of the 9 species are spices, and their chemical constituents, as reported throughout this survey, as indicated in the table, they contain saponin, alkaloids, tannins, and organic acid. You all agree with me that saponins are very effective in management of malaria, and they'll take care of the positive fever that sicklers normally experience. And as for the tannins, they are good in management of wounds, and we know that one of the symptoms of sickle cell disease is the issue of ulcers and infections. Essential oils are known for their strong antimicrobial properties. These are some of the priority species. This study recorded or documented 46% herb as life form that are used in management of sickle cell disease. Trees were 37, strong 14, and climbers had the least life forms. Then comes to the issue of the use of plant value and the use values of various plant parts. Mostly used were the roots. Mostly used were the leaves, which is okay for us. The use of leaves, fruits, seeds, rhizome, and bulbs, still okay because they are regenerative parts. But when we come to the use of bark and roots, that is destructive, and it may eventually affect the conservation status of the medicinal plants. So as much as possible, I want to encourage the use of regenerative parts so that we can use natural resources sustainably. So what are the implications of this study? This study presents a long list of medicinal plants with valuable therapeutic effects in management of sickle cell disease. The important findings should form basis for future search for more anti-sickling plants. The isolation, the screening of the priority species for anti-sickling activity, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antimicrobial activity could lead to isolation of active constituents, and that could lead to future anti-sickling agents. Spices as anti-sickling activity, I want to go into screening of all Nigerian spices for anti-sickling activities and see if they are effective due to their claimed therapeutic value from the indigenous people. Then, the topical administration of recipes should be encouraged since we will not be exposed to toxicity. So, sicklers are advised to use the topical recipes daily to prevent sickle cell crisis. The documented vegetables and fruits will serve as part of diet for sicklers, and that will help in alleviation of the infections, inflammation, and anemia. Then sicklers and their families should be encouraged to keep home gardens where they raise the common vegetables that easily grow and other medicinal plants for immediate therapeutic use. And I want to conclude in one word that ethnobotanical survey should form basis for selection of medicinal plants for research work. This will prevent waste of time, energy, resources, and materials in the laboratory. Thank you.
So we have time for questions.
Yes, ready.
when you talk about the plants used for wounds, could you comment more on that? What type of wounds are commonly common to patients with anemia or with sickle cell?
That's too fast for me. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask if you could comment a bit more on the topical use of plants for wounds in patients with sickle cell.
It's okay. Go to the recipes. The preparation of soap.
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 Aha. Okay.
From Bifidum pinnatum is recommended as anti-sickling. But I want to see it more as antifungal. Then the idea that when I asked the indigenous people why topical method of administration, they want to believe that the active constituent of the plant could go into the system via the skin pores. Not being taken orally doesn't mean it will not have therapeutic value. When you use the decoction to bath, or you use the decoction of any plant part as compresses, that the skin pores allow the absorption of the active constituents.
So you mentioned anti-sickling. Does that actually work with the red blood cells?
Yes,
Does
because I
that
told you initially that sickle cell disease is a genetic disease that is due to the inheritance of mutant hemoglobin genes from the parents.
So how does that anti-sickling actually work with the red blood cells and the mutant hemoglobin?
In the bone, that I did not do.
Okay.
I documented the plants that have been used.
Right. Okay.
If I go into the lab to screen for the anti-sickling effect, then I'll be able to answer.
Okay.
And I want to chip in a point here that the indigenous people believe that since sickle cell disease is a blood-related disease, then that one should use plants with red blood color. That's doctrine of signature. So comes the use of Pterocarpus and Pterocarpus osum, sorghum bicolor, Mangifera indica, and all red blood colored plant parts in the treatment of this particular disease.
The slide went by just a little too fast for me because I'm not awake, really. But what was the species of Terminalia that's used?
Almond fruit.
Ah, okay. And so what was
The falling leaf.
the leaves?
The falling leaves, the moment the leaf falls, it's red like blood. So it's that one that is picked and boiled.
Interesting. So the fruit's not used.
No, not the fruit, the leaves of the fruit.
Right. Okay.
Any more questions? I step.